Hello, everybody. Rabbi Sai, and once again, welcome everybody to another edition of the Tefillah Awareness Shiur. My name is R Yehudah Schwartz, and once again, it is the privilege and honor to be giving the shiur week in, week out, and the whole tafkid. Again, as I keep saying over and over again, this tafkid of this shiur is to create the awareness of how we behave in shul, how we come to shul on time, to stay in shul to the very end, not just run through davening, we don't talk in shul, and so on and so forth. Baruch Hashem, the feedback has been tremendous, Baruch Hashem, so far, Baruch Hashem. And hopefully this will continue to keep going and going and going for a while. It's a shame. So, before we continue, I do want to mention once again to make a Kabbalah, whichever way you look at it. You want to make a Kabbalah to come on time, you can make a Kabbalah come on time. If you want to make a Kabbalah to be quiet in shul, you can do that also. You can put away his phone, you can do that also. It is taka machla, and when people are bored, especially middle of Shemona Esrei, when people are still middle of Shemona Esrei, when they finished already, they're looking at the phones. So it's definitely a no-no. That's supposed to. It's not. That's not the way to do things. Besides, Hashem is in the shul itself, and you taking a phone from Hashem's house shows what kind of derech a person has. So, with that in mind, make a Kabbalah. Don't take out your phone during davening whatsoever. You can do that as well. For more information, go to ktyt.org, ktyt.org. I know it's in Yiddish, and hopefully it's sooner or later we'll try to get it done for English as well. Today we are going to finish off Siman Tezvav, the last three seifim of the Siman. Yud Aleph, Yud Bais, and Gimel. All of them are short, not so long, but also on the flip side, it's actually very important halachas in which a person and any gabbai or any rov needs to follow as well, based on what I was saying over here. Of course, Mr. Brewer will elaborate a little more on this. The R Chaim does elaborate on this as well. Now we'll get to Hashem at a later time, but for now, we're focusing on the Kitzur Shulchan Siman Tezvav, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Gimel, the last three seifim of this Siman. Yud Aleph is first. Very important one. Here we go. Hashlich Tzibur Tzorch Shiyagan. The Chazan must be worthy of his position. Again, I'll repeat it again. Hashlich Tzibur Tzorch Shiyagan. The Chazan must be worthy of his position. Shemar says in Yirmiyah Perik Yud Beis Pasuk Ches, Nasna Olai Bekola Alkain Seinesia. She, the Jewish people, gave her voice to me, therefore I hated her. Ramaz Yebusai Zachayim V'Chamem said, and this is in Meseches Tanis, Daf Tezayin Amalef and Alam Beis, Zeh Shechseb She'en Hogan. This refers to an unworthy chazan, who nevertheless descends before the Amr to down for the tzibur. Now, such a chazan, by the way, is alluded to by this pasuk, since he gives nothing to Hashem but his voice. In other words, he has none of the truly important qualities of a chazan, which we're going to discuss. What makes a true good chazan, Taka? Is it his voice? Is it really his stature of his shul? Or his elchkeit? That's a big thing as well. Between elchkeit, stature, or Stam's voice? Okay, we're going to discuss it momentarily. Who is worthy to be a chazan? In other words, who can be a chazan, Taka? Zeh Shireke Me'averos. One who is free from sins. Pikinor, whose youth was proper. Perish. It explains what does it mean. Meaning that even in his youthful years, he did not have a bad reputation. And one who's humble. She has skimmed the svosai. who is acceptable to the tzibur who approve of his praying for them. One who could chant the davening with a sweet melody, and his voice is pleasant and draws his heart. And it's a big kicker here. One's accustomed to reading the Tanakh, Toivim Ksivim. Kidei Shia Psukim Shabbat Stir Mefiv. So they should be fluent in the Psukim mentioned in davening. They mitzian, and they can't get you cannot find. Mishia Voy Kal Misalolo. One who has all these qualities. If Chaz Toshabahem, should do the best of the available candidates. Chachman Masantovim, the air of wisdom and good deeds. So let's explain as best as we can, based on what the Shachach is saying here currently. Of course, there is going to be some different conversations on this. And if people recall, maybe in an earlier shiur, I actually referred this out as well. So it says here, by the way, who's a hagan? So those are clean from sins. And youth is proper. So, and also, and his mirutza should call it just it was acceptable to the congregation. Now, some people think that who is acceptable for tefillah? Those who are the big shtitzes of the shul, or those who are, let's say, the big shots of the shul. The Shachach says that is actually not the case. A person who could down for the Omid, and especially on Shabbos, that's what I'm referring to most, during the week, is if there's a chiyuv, he gets pretty much kedima, more or less. But on Shabbos, where there's no chiyuv, and a chiyuv cannot daven anywhere unless it says yotza on Shabbos, a person who is able to daven for the Omid is a person who is clean from affairs and is doing the right thing, not just always showing up when he feels like, okay, today I'm getting the Omid. And Geboim need to be a little more, take more notice and take a little more clarity, more carefulness in this area. You can't just send anybody up to him because the guy is a big shot show or is a big guy. Referring to people, especially a person who's quiet in shul, a person who's davening elach, who has his heart towards Shemayim, and not all the way around. A person who is able to do that, and people like him very much. Not just a big shot, a big hacker, and so on and so forth. Those kind of people don't belong at the Omid at all, really. They shouldn't. And why? Because those are the people, I guess, as I said in the previous shiur, there's got to be a role model, a person who's a good role model to the community, to people in this shul. So, with this said, I'm saying it in public. Those who are worried to be the Omid are people who are elch, people who respect the rules of the shul, not just do what they want, come late, to leave early, or daven fast, and so on and so forth. I've seen this numerous times before, and this should go public. I don't care. And this gotta go really, and let's go, and this based not on my words. It's the Shulchan Aruch says this. Let's continue. Your base. Even better now. This is gonna go the next step now, even more. One should not lead the davening before the teva. Don't have to be a chazan. Shloi b'tzeh kol, against the wishes of the congregation. That means even one person can make a mechad. That person cannot daven on it whatsoever. It says here. Chomi shespal shloi b'shus. Moreover, whoever does go to him without permission, machwas almas v'geyus, by virtue of his power, intimidation, and arrogance, and on amen achaber choisav. We do not respond with amen after his brachas. This is a little more controversial in this area. It's some people yes, some people no. I'm not so clear with this one. This we have to ask a Rav on this one, who has better clarity and can make a decision. This one. Shem says a pasuk and tell him, but Tseya Perch Nietz Hashem, a thief who recites a blessing as basically embrace Hashem's name. In other words, we are not to respond with the Amen to his chazan, was not considered to be saying blessings at all, but just embarrassing Hashem's name. I come on Simch of Tes Siftes. Well, we're going to discuss that at a later date. And the last simon, and the last sif of the simon. A man a chazan should not be reported to be a permanent position. Unless his beard is full. In other words, he doesn't he doesn't actually need to have a beard literally, but he must be of age that his beard would be full if he did have one. And Ramah. Kol, and now Avo Ba'Kayva Alma. How about on an occasional basis? Kol Shir Ben whoever is 13 years old in one day, as we discussed in a previous shiurim, can go to the Omid. Yes, Dine Shechsiba B'Shemay Sinim Gimel. That's all the Adim pertaining to the Chazan. Begoin Shemay can be found in Shulchan Simon Nun Gimel, which regarding special requirements of the Chazan, appointed to lead the davening of Shoshana and Kippur. We'll discuss also at a later date. Powerful words here from the Shulchan. As I said before, we're actually going to discuss it more at length later on in later shiurim. We'll go now to the other sefer, which we're going to actually spend one whole chapter today on this one. Till Minyan Moshe Levovitz. Of course, get this sefer in your stores. After chapter 12, success in Torah learning. Many people feel that there is no reason to daven sincerely, since it's sufficient to learn Torah. Yet this is far from the emes. We spend so much time davening, more than the average person spends learning Torah. And yet many think that as long as they're learning, Tefillah is not important. One of us learns so much Torah should have a strong connection to Hashem, and this is accomplished through davening, through Tefillah. And the world stands on Tefillah. Medrash B'Seches Avos Perek Aleph Mishnah Bais says there are three pillars of which the world stands on, and two of them are in Torah and Tefillah. When one learns Torah, Hashem showers storehouses and merit unto Klal Yisrael. The more Torah is learned, the more merit is showered upon them. However, Tefillah is in a means of which merits are showered into the world. And therefore, if the entire world was learning Torah but there was no Tefillah, no schusim would be showered into the world. And therefore, one who learns Torah is doing a kindness to the world, and through his Tefillah, he allows this kindness to reach the world. Now, the Tefillah of Rabba places more emphasis on Avodah places more emphasis on success in Torah learning more than any other Tefillah. The reason why the Tefillah of Rabba or Avodah, depending on what your meaning is so long compared to other brachas is to illustrate that in order to achieve success in Torah, one must daven a lot. And by doing so, one will merit help from Hashem in Torah learning. Rabbi Akiva Eiger says that saying Rabba is a segula, not to forget Torah learning. The Masham says that one who does not concentrate properly when saying Rabba and at the Chayim Bashachris, Shmoneh will not be able to properly learn Torah that day. The Tziv was not able to write Chushdish Torah if he didn't cry during the Tefillah of Rabba. And the Gemara, Maseches Brachos, Daf Chav Chesam Beis says that Yehudah ben Elkanah enacted a tefillah upon entering the Bais Medresh to ensure that the Torah learning was correct. The Sefer Chasidim in 131 says that if one davens for spirituality, Hashem will answer him even if he does not have good deeds. The Gemara Maseches Chasidim Daf Ayin Beis says that one wishes to become a wise who requests this from Hashem, who gives wisdom. The Kavah Hayasha says that one should not say that it's better in Hashem's eyes for him to learn Torah than to daven. Many people mistakenly think that if they learn Torah, they do not have to work hard as in Tefillah. It's difficult to believe that those who are wise in Torah yet weak in Tefillah can have a true connection to Hashem. Often we see boys who excel in Torah learning, but not in davening. I see that plenty, by the way, everywhere I go. It's not a joke. A boy who davens that his learning should be better is on a different level than those who learn Torah without concentrating on davening. It's much easier to learn Torah than to daven since people derive enjoyment from Torah learning. It would be much harder to fill a stadium of 90,000 people for a celebration of Shemona Esrei than the Femi, which the seal will be mentioned in less than a year. Tefillah often comes from a place of lack, whereas with Torah, the more you have, the better off you are. It's not possible for one to only have Torah and say, I'm not a davener. Torah and Tefillah go hand in hand. The level of connection one reaches to Torah learning is not the same level that's reached to davening. In Itziv, would travel to daven a kibbutz tzaddikim in order to merit hatzlacha and understanding in Torah learning. Which brings me to this point quickly. A lot of yeshivas focus, actually most yeshivas, if not all, whether it's on the elementary level and or the Bais Medresh level or the Mesafta level, focus primarily a lot on Torah learning, which is great. That's not the purport. That's not the goal here. What's the problem with what we're saying here is that a lot of yeshivas don't focus so much on davening, and all the guys just rip through davening. And it's not a wonder today why people are davening fast. And why people today our kids today are just ripping through them and they have no aslaga, no clue what they're saying. And take this about me as well. And which is why I bought a sitter, an article sitter, to daven like a mensch as best as we can. But it doesn't help when the tzibur davens fast at all. And it goes a lot easier if we follow a system and curriculum in which yeshivas should teach. It goes by being a role model how to daven like a mensch and davening. As I said last week, someone showed me the Shemona Esrei, and I said to him, listen, 3 minutes and 45 seconds is not enough time to get through a Shemona Esrei properly. 5 minutes is definitely the minimum. And a yeshiva need to model it and show kids the cheshivas of davening. And this goes all the way through. This goes from the elementary level, teaching kids how the translation of davening, and then eventually teaching kids how to behave in shul. Elevating tefillah, because we're running out of time on this one. The Mishnah Berurah says that if one doesn't daven in order to learn Torah, then even if he heard it learn with others, is as if he didn't learn. The Ma'or V'Shemesh says that if one's Torah is not complete, if he doesn't daven, Aaron Kotler Zatzal explains that Torah and Tefillah complement each other, and each one is fundamental. Both Torah and Tefillah bring one closer to Hashem. Yet there are differences in the levels of closeness that each one offers. Tefillah is in the effort that we make to come close to Hashem. Torah is the closeness that Hashem provides when learning His Torah. Once a person learns Torah and comes closer to Hashem through it, he can come even closer through Tefillah. Without learning Torah, one cannot achieve ultimate closeness through Tefillah. The Chazon Ish says that one who wishes to merit divine assistance in Torah learning must daven this in Shemona Esrei. And the Mishnah Berurah also, by the way, Mishnah Berurah and Siman Mem Zayin Sif Yud says that if the father should daven, that his children should be learning Torah and have good midos. The Chavetz Chaim says in order for one's tefillah for Torah to be accepted, he must make sure to learn after he davens. One who does not do so can be compared to a person who wishes to borrow money. The lender tells the borrower to come to his house and get the money. If the borrower doesn't come, he can be upset if the lender doesn't give him money. When a person davens for success in Torah, Hashem wishes to give it to him. However, if he runs out of shul to work, his tefillah for Torah will not be accepted. And the following story fully illustrates how tefillah is not inferior to Torah learning. The Chassam Sofer would daven for a long time while his friend learned it with the Chabusa. And after davening, the Chassam Sofer's friend approached him. In the time you were davening, I was able to learn parts of the Shulchan Aruch with the Magen Avraham, he said. The Chassam Sofer replied, one who davens longer has a longer life. I will be able to live longer and have the ability to learn more than you. Here's another story from the Chassam Sofer derives home the same point. People were upset that the Chassam Sofer davened for such a long time. If your davening was shorter, there will be so much more Torah in the world, and you'll be able to write more gibberish, they said. And he replied, Chasam Sofer, why are you so upset? Without Tefillah, I would not be able to write even one word of Torah. Let's end off with this now. The real test of Yesh Shemayim. Hashem Zatzal said that if one wishes to ascertain the level of another person Yesh Shemayim, you should see how he davens. By learning Torah, it's easy to be excited since one is always learning new material in the Chedushim. However, the tefillah of a person who was not filled with Shemayim will not have that passion. Until a ripe old age, he will daven in the same way, the same nusach, without thinking of any questions or answers on tefillah. One who davens this way is doing so merely to fulfill his obligation, like most of us are doing. A person who is working to obtain Shemayim and love of Hashem feels a connection to Hashem with each tefillah and imagines himself standing in front of him when he davens. His tefillahs are alive, and he will look for opportunities to daven. The Chazon Ish would tell those looking for a good chassan for the door to see how he davens. There was a helfen and it's chus that we're going to continue to encourage better davening, slowing the speed in shuls and in yeshivas, and having the right chazan going to the element will be zecher all shpos tovus and continued success and continued and wealth and so on. Please forward the shiur to others, and as well, let's push the shiur forward. Have a good day.